are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. Sorry about that. Um, so, since I had my mic muted that whole time, Yeah, that's what I did. That was a smarty move on my part. I'll tell you guys, you can catch us at travel@cruiseworld.com, 1-800-330-7461. Again, that is 1-800-330-7461. And they can help you out on all your vacation needs in Central Florida. See Central Florida like a local. Also, you can catch us on Twitter at the Stephen Willis or Old Positively. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. And you can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. You not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And also, we're on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss. If audio is more your thing, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Pandora. We're also on Amazon Music. Just found out about that. And we're on Audible. So our podcast lists are growing up in the thing. Again, sorry I was muted the first 3 minutes of that. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, sorry about that. So, what I want to do today is I want to talk about RG3 predicting Matt Corral to win the Heisman. That's one thing. We got the presser highlights with Lane Kiffin, JRP, and KD Hill. And we'll tell you what exactly a mock game is right here on the POMcast. So, let's get started with RG3 predicting Matt Corral to win the Heisman. Now, you've heard me for multiple months of people discounting Matt Corral and talking about how silly it is and how it needs to be there. Now, RG3 is putting him, he's predicting to win the Heisman. I think he'll be in the conversation and he'll have Heisman numbers this year. But we also need to understand that RG3 is from Baylor, which means when he was playing football, Jeff Lebby was there. Art Briles was there. All those Baylor guys were in the house. So this is a system that he understands. He won the Heisman running this system. If Matt Corral wins the Heisman, it will look real similar to what RG3 did. But in doing so, there's going to have to be, in these pundit classes, a little bit of hot takiness. And the one that he feels comfortable with is going to be the Matt Corral prediction. The one that he's going to be able to understand, where he understands the reads, where he's actually done it, is going to be the Matt Corral situation. Because we have to remember, that time at Baylor for RG3 was probably the pinnacle of his life. It's the peak, the absolutely peak, is him walking across that stage and picking up his Heisman Trophy. So understand that with this prediction. This prediction may be more about familiarity than actually predicting what's going to happen. But also, we need to realize there's not many quarterbacks. 5 out of the top 6 have a different quarterback starting tomorrow or next Saturday than they did last opening day. JT Daniels did the last 4 or 5 games. So, just something to keep in mind. So, let's do some press conference highlights, and then we'll take a break. And after that, I'll tell you what a mock game exactly is. I mean, we're almost here. We're almost at football. Again, sorry about the mic earlier. That was on a senior moment, I guess. So, we'll do press conference highlights, and then we'll come back and talk about a mock game. Stick around.
So, just continuing the process of getting closer. We will have a mock game Sunday night as opposed to Monday because of school issues. Try to simulate that the best that we can, get our guys used to how we prepare for that. Also in that process, over the next 4 days, get out of camp legs and, be very mental but very limited physically because we're beat up like always at this time, and understand, if you made it through, you're going to be better for that, but we got to help them get back now.
Yeah, absolutely. The transition's been pretty smooth other than the coming up from baseball. You miss a lot of the spring and the running aspect of it, so got to get in shape really, really quick. I think the Indiana game really helped me out, just having a week of it under my belt, but I've done a lot of learning about little things, that I didn't necessarily know about the receiver position. Didn't tell me.
Basically just taking one day at a time, getting better, working on small things, and making sure I get 1% better each day.
Today was the last day of technically like half, so still very heavy taxing physical work and preparation, with both fields going all the time for the most part. So now we go into, I get these days confused, so whatever tomorrow really would be no sweat Thursday, then fast Friday, and then a game, which I guess would be Sunday, the normal Saturday. So they'll get their legs back a lot now.
I feel kind of like at an advantage, just because understanding the concepts to a deeper level, almost kind of knowing when the ball is supposed to come to me, when the ball is not supposed to come to me. But yeah, I try to when I can, the younger guys, the older guys have a pretty good, like Drummond and Braylon and Mingo, they have a really good idea of the concepts as well. But like the younger guys, I try to help them out a little bit, just kind of talking through it and stuff.
Aiton, Jamon, and then the freshmen, JJ, D-Mark. We got a lot of young guys that's coming along, and I'm very proud of them. Every day they're improving, and just keep focused.
I mean, we got our own issues, so I can just speak why we did what we did, and I wouldn't understand that, but everyone's got their own reasons why they do things. I couldn't go to our team, not get vaccinated, and say, okay, hey, we're going to work, we're going to prepare, do all this work for a game, and also what if you tested positive a couple of days before the game? Hey, sorry guys, thanks for all your work, I won't be there because I didn't get vaccinated. So I'm sure people are different, but that would make no sense to me as a leader of these guys, that most of them really didn't know what to do. And like I've said before, a lot of people don't get it because they're just lazy and selfish. So whatever.
Today I went through break, running routes full speed, 100%. I think they wanted to kind of monitor the workload, so they cut me off a couple periods early. But everything felt really good, and really happy to be back out there. Now it's about trying to get back in shape really quick again,
Yeah, I have. Every day they taking notes, watching extra film, just focusing on the small things, and really want to get better and being coachable.
Yeah, we're for the most part free from that. I think, at one point some guys still were, because there is a window where, you're not free from that because it hasn't kicked in yet completely, especially if you're the 2-shot as opposed to the 1-shot. So I think there was some of that still going on, but that would be over now, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what was my first love. Playing the game of football was playing quarterback. I love to do it. It's probably still where my heart's going to be. I love playing quarterback. I love doing that. But the transition over is pretty smooth, just because of the aspect of last year, the year before, having to know everybody's assignments, all that. So the transition is pretty easy. Now my heart is probably always going to be at the quarterback position, but not to say that receiver position isn't fun, because it is a lot of fun.
We actually have a chip on our shoulders this year, and every single game we want to dominate.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I think that's changed over the years. I think when I got into coaching and was younger, initially head coach, like, hey, my job not to be your other dad or an on-course. I'm here to get you to the NFL and get you paid the most money on draft day and prepare you to play really well and teach you how to do that. And I think over years, it's been documented. I've said before, I think going to FAU and being with so many kids that aren't going to the NFL, you get a different perspective. And, I'm not saying everybody changes with age, but I think that's part of it. And I just look at it different now. So many of these kids are just lost. We had a speaker that, I meet with our speakers afterwards, talk to them about things, and, he made a point. He said, just remember, you got a lot of kids that have no fathers on your team, and their default is their coach. So, just continuing the process of getting closer, we will.
All right, we are back. That was Lane Kiffin talking about what's going on, and everything's kind of what's happened? The camp is over. It's time to really play a football game. It's just time to play a football game. And everybody's excited about that, and everybody wants that to happen, and they're just ready. Like I said, Nebraska and Illinois, I can't believe, people are going to tune in for Nebraska and Illinois because the last, 18 months have been terrible, and we need that escape. I say they, it could be, any random person, but it feels like they've tried to take the escape out of everything that's going on. So things just seem overly terrible. But now with college football, hopefully we can get back into escapism. We don't do politics here. We don't do anything like that. We just want to talk about ball, and we want to be that escape for everybody and have a lot of fun in doing so. Now, before we go to a short break, I do want to tell you that Nick Cole out of Donaldsville, Georgia, I believe. Let me look that up real quick so I can make sure we are in the right place. And he committed to Ole Miss. He's a player that is somewhere in the ballpark of, 89-ish on the 24/7 composite. And let's see, Donaldsonville, Georgia, from Seminole County High School. And he's commit number 12. And most of those commits, whenever you do the average commit of the player, it's coming down to basically being a borderline 4-star, high 3-star, low 4-star. That's the average commit that Ole Miss is getting. Ole Miss has 12 right now. So we've about hit the point where we expect them to be. Now, I want to see Ole Miss close. I mean, everybody wants to see Ole Miss close. But those commits should be higher up. And if the run-of-the-mill commits are at this level, I'm excited to see what he'll be. Now, we're going to do a commitment spotlight over the weekend for patrons only. I will say, going into this, the breakdown that I would give is looking at his video. He might line up as a cornerback, but he's a safety. He just absolutely is. He's a box player. He in the mold of a Tysheem Johnson or somebody like that. So just keep in mind about what's going on and get ready for the game. But Nick Cole out of Seminole County in Georgia commits to Ole Miss. Good player, genuinely good player, and it was whenever you watch this film, it just jumped off the screen at you. So that is pretty exciting. So we're going to take a short break, and when we do, we will come back, and we'll tell you exactly what a mock game is and what exactly they're trying to accomplish. So stick around. All right, welcome back to the POMcast. That didn't pop up, so we'll take care of that real quick. There we go. Welcome back to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis, and I hope everybody is having a good time and having a fun weekend and have all the plans that are needed for everybody at the weekend position. Having fun, doing whatever needs to be done, getting ready for college football. Tomorrow, game day is going to be covering an Alcorn State game. So that'll be a pretty cool thing. That game is at like 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN. But, I mean, that should be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see what goes on. I'm interested to see what Alcorn has. You know, with Ole Miss playing their first game against an HBCU against Alcorn, I'm looking forward to that happening. So that could be a lot of fun. Now, we've talked about in the first segment Nick Call committing to Ole Miss, as you can see below, you know. And we talked about RG3 picking Matt Corral for the Heisman. Now, it's fine. We did a press conference. We did the presser highlights that's so popular. And now I want to tell you a little bit. I'm probably going to give you a couple minutes back because we need a game. Everybody says, hey, we don't need a whole lot of information to happen. We don't need to know what's going on. We just want to get to where we are going. Absolutely right, Guy. Thank you very much. But a mock game is this. Now, people are going to confuse a mock game with a scrimmage, and there's going to be people wanting practice reports of who did what, who did. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. As somebody that was in those meetings for a mock game, that went through multiple mock games with a staff, this is a Pete Carroll kind of invention. And Ed Orgeron did this at Ole Miss. We do our 3 preseason games, then they had the 4th preseason game, and it was essentially a mock game. And what a mock game is about operations. The whole thing is about the operations. You want to make sure that your 11 on special teams are where they're supposed to be when it's time to call the special teams. You want to make sure if you're huddling, your huddle operation is the way you want it to be. If it's a quick thing like we do on the tempo, the operation needs to be a certain thing. At the end of the play, people need to turn and look to certain people. This is all about ironing that up. Assistant and coach communication from the box and on the field, so they'll be where they actually go. This is going to be a walkthrough of game day scenarios that has nothing to do with performance. This is all about taking the newness out so you can just go coach the game. You're not worried about what you're supposed to do, what everything's supposed to be. It's all there. You've seen it before. You've seen what it looks like. Now you can just go coach a game. Now, the press box might be a different scenario. I mean, the Bryant Denny press box is going to look different than the Vaughn Hemingway press box. And the Mercedes-Benz Mercedes-Benz Stadium is going to look a lot different than Vaughn Hemingway Stadium. But the point is, you can look where you actually are and do what you need to do. You can be confident that the 11 players for the field goal unit are going to know where they're supposed to be. The 11 players for the field goal block are going to know where they're supposed to be. Offense, defense, everything is going to be set up. They're going to set up the benches in a certain way that they look on game day. What is going to be the huddle for the offensive unit? Where is that going to be? So that is what a mock game's for. It's not about what's happening on the field. The hay's in the barn there. The hay's in the actual barn. Camp is over. Let's do a mock game and get ready for Louisville. And over the course, believe it, they're not going to admit it. They're never going to admit this. But every training camp I was a part of, about a week before they announced that they were doing the other team, they started putting stuff in for the other team. So just understand that. Whenever they have a press conference, they're going to tell you what you want to know, or what they want you to know. Whether you're media or whoever else, they're going to tell you what they want you to know. They're going to try to use the media as a sounding board. But the truth is rarely what's coming out for scrimmage reports and practice reports. Everything's just too shut off. And that's the Nick Saban portion of Lane Kiffin. He learned that from Alabama because Pete Carroll was insanely open. His other mentor was insanely open, but you can't do that anymore because back when USC was making their huge run, the media was just a couple of people here, a couple of people there. maybe at the LA Times or, the major newspapers. Now, pretty much everybody's the media. Thanks to social media and a blog and everything can set up. I set this whole thing up completely devoid of any overhead to cover Ole Miss sports. Just understand that. No overhead whatsoever. Completely covering Ole Miss sports. I do all of this stuff. I don't have employees. I don't have subscriptions to numerous things. This is all things that I built. And it's all about, for me, like whenever I had my surgery in 2019, I started thinking about what it needed to happen in basically college sports media and what's going on. And I came to the idea of basically stacking social medias on top of each other and having 13 different ways to consume the same video. That video might be on Twitter, it might be on YouTube, it might be on Twitch, it might be on Facebook, but it's being also placed on Reddit. It's being placed on Patreon. However you want your content, you can get it. We are just trying things a little bit differently. I said that way back when, like 2 intros ago, that we want to do things a little bit differently. And that's one of the ways we're going to do it. We're going to have basically niche audiences within niche audiences. There's a Positively Ole Miss group that enjoys watching on Facebook. Guy's one of those people. And there is a Twitter audience, and there's a YouTube audience, and there's a Twitch audience, and there's a Reddit audience, and there's a Patreon audience. They like Patreon because they want more. Because things like Commitment Spotlight and interviews and previews and reb calls will be exclusively for those guys. But if you just like these shows and that's just what you want to do, that's fine. You can consume these for free on the social media of your choice. We want it to be a place that wasn't about sending you anywhere. We want it to be where you are already. Because it's gotten to the point where, you saw the thing on Twitter that I had to do whenever Twitter went away. They want you to click a link to go to another place, and that just doesn't happen. Unfortunately, it's just the case. It's like listening to ads on a podcast. The podcast isn't made for an ad. You can skip ahead 30 seconds, the length of an ad. And, I mean, everybody does that. And I think it would be disingenuous if you didn't at least talk about that and be open with that in the beginning. So I am really, really, really excited about what's going on. I'm going to give you a couple minutes back, and in doing so, hopefully, we can get ready for this weekend. But tomorrow, College Game Day, Nebraska, Illinois. Let's go. Next week, we'll start previewing Louisville. I've got Cameron Teague coming on the show. We'll do a Patreon early access, but that'll be probably like the 10 o'clock Labor Day version of the POMcast. I'm going to do that show, but I'll put that up then. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, has a great time. Again, sorry about muting that at the beginning. That's on me. But hopefully everybody has a good time. So until then, take care and hotty toddy.